So this interview here is another one I recruited from user interviews, and Yanis joins me on this one. And you can see very early on in the interview that I think the connection drops, and I'm a little bit worried that maybe this one is a bit of a mistake. I've let somebody through the screener that I shouldn't have done. Anyway, listen through it, and then listen to Yanis and I have a quick chat at the end about what we think we've learned. And then in a subsequent video, I will talk you through what the debrief is and see whether you think, does this belong in the research or not?
Hey, Khalid.
Super. So I think we've just got the recording going. So Khalid, thanks for taking the time for the call. Give you a bit of backstory about what Yanis and I are trying to achieve here. We're at a very, very early stage phase of some research. And what we're really interested in is the language people use to describe both realizing they needed some new skills, shopping for, purchasing, and then using the course that I think you mentioned in the screener. So the good news here is it's your story in your own words. So you can't get anything wrong. Bad news is where it is about language, I apologize up front, I'll probably interrupt just because you might use like a word or a phrase. I just got to make sure I understand what you mean by it, maybe versus how I might use it. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. And you can kind of think about this. Imagine we're shooting a Netflix documentary series of people who've bought courses. This is your episode, so I may ask some weird questions. Like imagine I'm following you around with a film camera, trying to shoot the scene or whatever. But I find it hopefully triggers some sort of memory that may have been buried. And on that, maybe could you introduce yourself to us for your story? Like, who are you and what's going on in your life around the time that you've joined this Visual Ideas course?
So my name is Khalid. I'm a medical student.
What, sorry?
MBCHP.
PhD?
I'm doing degree in medical student, in medical course.
Medical. Okay, sorry. Medical course. Okay. How far through your medical course have you got?
Currently, I'm in my 4th year.
4th year. How many have you got?
I went through three years.
Sorry, you're in your 4th year of 3 years?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
You're a student studying medicine?
Yeah.
How many years have you been studying, and how many years are you going to study in total?
Yeah, I'm going to study for 6 years. The course is actually for 6 years, and I've been studying. This is my 4th year now.
Okay, so you're in your 4th year now. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anything else that's going on? So, big picture, is this related to you purchasing this course or not?
So for medical students, mostly we deal with a lot of bulk note-taking issues, and we have a lot of notes to remember and everything to do. So that is what from that point of view, so many lectures to attend, so many things to do. So I just wanted to express my ideas in a better way than just writing notes every now and then.
Okay, that's cool. In a better way. Cool. Sorry. So that's cool. You mentioned, I think it was the Sketchnote mini course.
Yeah.
So maybe treat us like we know nothing about this. If you were telling somebody else, maybe one of your classmates or your parents or family or whatever, what it is you bought in your own words, what would you say? How would you describe it?
So it is a note. It is a notebook written by Mike Rhodes, and he usually explains it very well and talks about how you just have to. You don't have to be an artist. You just have to have an idea to communicate. That idea alone is enough to communicate. You just don't have to be an artist sketching everything, writing, drawing art perfectly.
Okay. And you say this is a notebook. So is this like a a book at the library I've had to go and borrow or buy, or is this an actual online course that I've gone and joined?
It's an actual online course. It actually has the book plus the videos or the course that you usually can buy it separately.
Okay. So book plus video courses.
Yeah.
Is this a long book or a short book?
It's a short book.
Okay. Like what? I guess you read lots of books and you're studying medicine, so maybe help me understand. Is a short book like 5 pages, or is it 500 pages?
No, it's like 150 pages.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it mostly contains the drawing skills that you're supposed to know. Like even though it's not a drawing course, it tells you like how you can use simple shapes like square, the 4 basic shapes, square, circle, and a line, to communicate your ideas instead of trying to be the perfect artist.
Okay. Thank you. And on this one here, you said book plus a video course. So the book's 150 pages long. What does a video course entail?
So for me, mostly I thought I didn't have the resources at the time and the money to go for the video.
Okay.
So I settled on the book plus
Okay.
Actually, I went some videos on YouTube where he gives interviews. So that is what I complemented the book with, but I didn't have that opportunity to buy his full course.
Right. Okay. So how much? What's the difference? I think you mentioned was it $30 US, or is it a different currency? How much did you spend on the book?
Yeah, the book actually costs $33.
Okay, and that is US dollars, is it?
Yeah, US dollars.
And how much is the online course?
The online course was going for about like I don't remember clearly well, but it was more than 100.
Okay, so more than 100. Is that on top? I think you said the book and the video course come together. Is the online course 100 and it includes the book, or is it 100 for that on top of the book that you've had to buy?
No, the book was actually 33, but
Yep.
the course was separate. You if you decide, it was the course alone. The video course alone was more than $100.
Right. Okay. Cool. So when was it that you took your $33 out and bought this book?
It was my second. I was actually in my second year of medical course.
Okay.
My first year was hectic. We had a lot of coming fresh from high school. We were introduced into a lot of notes and everything. So actually the units were a lot. We were dealing with a lot of notes. So I spent most of my first year writing notes and filling in books, to the point where actually I had a lot of notes to remember and write. So that is after finishing first year is when I thought maybe there is a better way of writing your notes and expressing your thoughts. That's when I searched for these courses.
Okay. And so you're in your 4th year now. Have you just started your 4th year?
I'm just starting my 4th year, yeah.
Okay. So if you're in your 2nd year then, and it just starts, so September 2022, I guess that would be.
Yeah.
When did you buy this book?
I bought immediately I finished my first year exams. That was around July or June, somewhere there.
Okay.
2021.
June, July 21, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said it was $33.
It was 33 years.
Is that a lot of money to spend?
It was. It's a lot of money to spend, but I was in a dilemma. So it was either I spend that money or I come back next year and do the same thing that I've been doing, which was actually hectic considering the amount of lectures that we have.
Okay. Okay, no problem. So, okay, if it's June, July 2021 that you've decided to buy this this book, when was it you first thought, hey, How do I go from writing tons of notes in university in my first year to even knowing books on this come about? Like, where does the thought come from to go searching for help?
The thought actually comes when you considering those years the kind of work that you go through, usually the lectures that you go through, plus you are supposed to be paying attention to those lectures at the same time, leaving something with it behind, then going back home and then writing, actually revisiting that same topic that you have been taught in class, and then writing notes about it, and later on again having to revisit when the exams are usually near. So that was actually the process that I went through in my first year. So immediately I finished the first year is when I thought I have to, maybe this is becoming hectic, the work is a lot. Maybe I have to go and restudy the way I write my notes, and then maybe instead of writing these bulk notes carrying every now and then, maybe I have to consider other ways of writing. That's when I went to Google and searched for some things, and actually that was the first course that came when I searched for that.
Okay, so what were you searching for?
I was actually searching for a better ways of summarizing, and instead of writing a lot of notes, summarizing my ideas, and maybe writing just the cues so that I can later on go back.
Okay, no problem, thanks. And why buy a book on this when you're a university student? Why not just go and get it from the library?
It was from the library. I didn't but the library usually I didn't have that book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, then this is my first year at university. I turn up, I go to these lectures. I'm sat there. I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm trying to pay attention to the lecturer, and I'm trying to capture the information, and maybe three things, trying to retain the information. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. But to start off with, during my university first year, this isn't a problem. How? I guess I'm trying to work out how does it suddenly become a problem in year two when it wasn't a problem at the start of year one? Why don't I go to one lecture and go, wow, I need to solve this?
Usually when you are in first year, you have considering from the content. It's all about relates to the content and everything that the topic that you are supposed to learn. So from high school and then jump into university first year, it was usually like the content usually increased by a lot. Considering we have to learn anatomy, we have to revisit everything. So in my first year, I was actually struggling. I didn't think mostly there will be other ideas, other ways of expressing and writing these notes. I had to go from a slide to another slide, then go back to book, then write some notes about that book. So that was when actually struggled a lot in first.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, pre-university, it's not really a problem. The content suddenly jumps up when I go to university. Oh, Khalid, you still there? We've lost him.
Yeah, seems frozen.
Yeah. I'll rejoin. So far, I'm dropping the message. He's left. See if we can get him back in. this is an example of one where I think the recruit here has gone wrong because he's listed the course, but he bought the book. So we'll see whether we get a story out of this or whether we quarantine this one. But be interesting. If you get the odd one of these in the research, so I tend to get as much as I can from the.
I know, of course, if like everybody have taken the time anyhow, so might as well.
Yeah,
make
well,
the
exactly.
best of it.
You think, well, let's pull what we learn, and I'm not sure how we'll go here, but yeah, that one.
What's the time now at your place?
It's 16 minutes past 5.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, I had a bit of a disruption.
Yeah, no worries. So I think what you were saying is that pre-university, the amount of content that you had to learn was much lower.
Yeah, it was much lower compared to in medical school.
Was
Especially
it like half as
medical
much,
school.
like, or 10 times as much? What's the difference?
Usually in your first year, it's a lot, like 50%, or I can say 60% more. It's time consuming, takes most of your time.
Okay. And when I'm busy learning that, this is so time consuming, I don't have the time to step back and think of learning a different way of learning. Does that make sense? Is that what I'm hearing you tell me?
Yeah. But usually the problem is for the first time that you study, you actually invest a lot of time in it. But when you go back, if you don't have like if you haven't expressed your ideas in a clear and concise manner, you usually start the process again, of which you are having your exams near. You don't have that time.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, it's not so much about the struggle in the moment. So in the first lecture or the 10th lecture or whatever, I struggle with creating these notes and making it. It's more later in the year, I'm going back to trying to revise this information. And if my notes aren't good enough, what happens?
You are going to invest the same time again, which is unnecessary, actually.
It is necessary or unnecessary?
Unnecessary.
Okay. And what does that mean in terms of like practical sense? So I've learned this once. I'm coming back to revise it. Isn't the point of revision to learn it again?
It is to learn it again, but if you are actually going back to the book again and visiting every other page, it usually defeats the purpose of learning.
Okay. So maybe what's your expectation then? If I've learned something really well the first time and I go back to revise it, what does that mean versus I've not, maybe the old way, I've not done it properly the first time. What's the difference between what you want and what you had?
We're actually human beings. When considering the content that even if you study the first time well, you will probably have to go back again to revisit and to juggle your mind. So the point of going back should always be like I have to give myself a cue and then I jiggle my memory. That's the things that I've learned should come back. But if in the first place I don't have that, didn't write that cues for me to jiggle my mind, it usually defeats the purpose of revising, because to go back and study again.
Okay. So if I'm following along now, when you first wrote those notes, you were sat in the lecture hall, and the idea was that the notes would jiggle your memory and cue this idea back in your head for the future.
Yeah.
And when you went back to your notes, so when you've written them the first time, you're happy, and then when I go back to have that cue and that rejiggle, I don't get it. So I've got to go back to the source material, the PowerPoints and the books. Is that right?
Yeah, that was what I was doing in first year, but I wasn't writing actually the notes were a lot. So you might find that the most important part of that lecture maybe is in the middle, mixed up with the other things that you have written. They're not in ideally organized.
Okay, so it's not organized. Okay. So did you do exams at the end of your first year?
Yeah.
Okay. When do I start noticing this? Am I noticing it? Because I think you said June, July you purchased. So when does this start becoming a problem for me that I'm going to go and look up?
Yeah.
Okay. When is that? Just
Like April somewhere. I mean, it was March, April somewhere there.
okay. And how do I notice that? Imagine this is my Netflix moment. You know, I'm trying to play you in the thing. Like how do I suddenly notice that there's a problem?
Considering you have your exams near and you just want to go back and revisit a specific topic, and in that topic, usually there are specific areas which are of much importance than the other areas. So if you didn't have your notes in an organized manner and you didn't sketch them properly, and then maybe you will realize that by the time your exams are near and you want to revisit those notes, you actually have a lot of information to revisit. If you are just writing notes and in text format, you will realize that you have a lot of information to revisit. So in the middle of that mishap, you are going to realize that maybe this part of the information was not important. I just needed the keywords.
Okay. So at that time, I'm doing a lot of revision. There's a lot of text in what I've written.
Yeah.
And I would much prefer to have just had the keywords in there versus the text. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is March, April. You're not going to look for a solution to the problem then?
You have to look for a solution. That is why I decided, after finishing those exams in a hectic manner, actually, that's when I decided I maybe have to look for another solution to better express my notes.
Okay. I guess what I'm trying to work out is you mentioned in there that there's too much text and you just needed keywords. So how do I end up on a course to take visual notes if all I needed was keywords?
Like I mentioned, the keywords are like in the first time you read the whole book, and when you are writing your notes, you summarize them and write the keywords, and then maybe you sketch some images, some pictures there and here and there. So by the time you write your keywords, you have already read the topic and you have your keywords and sketches ready. When you are coming back to revisit, you just have to go through the key areas to jiggle your mind. Even if you want to go back to the text, you are just going to find where that keyword was.
Okay, so the visual is part of taking the note, or it's part of helping me understand the keyword? Like what am I using that visual for?
The visual is actually there in our first year. If you properly check our first year in a medical course, it contains anatomy, which is usually mostly deals with a lot of body parts and structures of the body system. So if you are just writing some texts, you are at the end of the day, you are going to realize that you just have those texts. But if your notes have been interactive from the beginning, and then you are sketching maybe a muscle here, a muscle there, and just in a sketch part, you are going to realize that it becomes easier even for a visually to remember later.
Right. Okay. So if I'm hearing this right, it's not just about the volume of what I've got to learn. It's also actually the thing I'm trying to learn requires a lot of visuals in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that you went Googling for this stuff. Like help me shoot that scene. Like when did you open up Google and go off on your search for whatever it was? Like, was it immediately after your last exam? Like, was it after a break? Like, when do I stop and start looking for?
So actually, I realized I have a problem by April somewhere there. When I tried to revisit my notes, that was when I realized that there is a problem. So by that time, I couldn't have solved the problem because at the end of the day, I had an exam in a 1 month time. So what I did was I went ahead and did what I was usually doing in my first year. Then that was when I realized I had a problem. But immediately I finished the exams during my break time is when I started searching for solutions.
Okay. And you mentioned that this was number 1 on the list. Did you just go to the first thing on the list, or did you actively shop and build decide this was the best one?
I actively searched for it. After searching for Google, and I saw that was the first one that was recommended, I actually went to YouTube. I went to YouTube and then searched for that for Mike Rhodes, and really learned the way he was, what his course actually entailed.
Okay. And at that time, you mentioned that there was a course and a book.
Yeah.
And you decided just price-wise, let's go with the book. Were you shopping for a course, or were you shopping for a book? Or did you not know what you were shopping for? You were just looking for some way to solve this problem?
I was actually looking for a solution to my problem. Whatever comes first is what I was dealing with. But considering the budget constraints, I went with the book.
Okay. So Google's the number 1 hit. Is the number 1 hit like an Amazon book link, or is it a web page from Mike Rhodes? Like what do I find first?
A web page. It was a web page from Mike Rhodes.
Okay. And is this what's that web page selling?
Excuse me?
Is the website selling the book, or is it selling the course, or is it selling something bigger than both of these things?
It's actually selling the book plus and even the course on the page.
Okay. Why'd you go to YouTube? Like what were you hoping to find there?
I was actually, before I went in depth with this book, I was looking for a YouTube to see an overview of the book. He actually provided a link for his YouTube channel in his website. So that is what I went through with it. Then that is what I was looking for in that YouTube.
Okay, so basically, if I land on his website, I'm playing you. I've Googled, I found this website, and one of the links is to YouTube to tell me what's in the book.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Did you ever actively consider buying the whole course, or did you eliminate that very quickly?
At the beginning, no, because mostly because I wanted to try first to see. I thought maybe what is in the book is what is going to be explained in the course. So I considered the book first, but then at the back of my mind, I was considering buying the whole course, but due to budget constraints, I couldn't buy.
Okay. So after YouTube, did you go straight to buying the book, or did it take you some time to make the decision? Did you go off looking for other books or other courses or other YouTubes?
The guy actually promised that for me to have a visual presentation of my notes and everything, I didn't have to be an artist. So I actually straight away went to buying the book, because that is what he was promising, that I don't have to be an artist. and I actually didn't have that much time because I was supposed to come back to start on my second year studies again. So I decided, let me just give it a try instead of searching for other courses.
Okay. And are you buying this book directly from him or via Amazon? Like, what is it? Is it physical book, digital book?
I actually went with he was giving both the options for getting digital book and also a hard copy, but I went with the digital one.
Okay. Is that cheaper or is it the same price?
The time I was buying, it was given at a discount of, was it 25% or 20%? So it was actually cheaper.
Right. Are most of your books digital or are most of them physical?
Sorry?
Are most of the books that you use or buy, are they mostly digital or mostly physical?
The most of the books that I use, usually if I get them from the library, so they are mostly physical books, but I also sometimes buy digital books.
Okay. But in this case here, like, what device are you going to view this book on?
The book is actually simple. It's very simple. It gives you ways and means of expressing your ideas in a simple and precise manner, memorable and very fun actually to even write it down. So I will recommend the book actually.
Yeah. So what I was trying to ask is really, if I've bought a digital copy of a book, obviously I don't have the physical pages to look through. So what device am I using to read the book with?
You can actually use any device. I used iPad mostly.
Okay. And when you say any device, like, is it like a PDF or something?
Yeah, it wasn't a PDF. It was the option I went with was an EPUB format.
Okay. And look, so you've gone and got this book. You were in a hurry because you were having to go back to your second year shortly. It was a big problem because your notes prior year were not good enough and they caused you problems. Was this a difficult decision? I mean, it sounds like obviously, you had, you didn't want to spend a lot of money on the course or anything like that. You wanted to save some money to get the digital book. So, like, what does this compare to if you're spending $33? Is this?
For the advantages that you get mostly, when you buy a digital version of the book, it wasn't very much difficult compared to considering for the digital book to be shipped. It usually takes 3 business days, and I prefer the digital version. The hard book usually takes 3 days to be delivered, but for the digital version, it's immediately you purchase it, you are going to get it. And plus, you can view it on any device you want. Consider, even if it is your mobile phone, I was mostly using an iPad, but you can also use any other screen to view it.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, so the reason I don't go for the course is because it's much more expensive. But the reason I go for the digital book isn't to save the 25%. It's because it arrives more quickly and I can look at it on any device.
Yeah, partly because of the 25% was an incentive, but the major decision was based on it arrives quickly, immediate purchase you get immediately. Okay,
cool. Now, it sounds like you don't want to spend a lot of money on this. You don't want to spend $100 on the course. So, is $33 expensive for a book, or is it cheap?
Actually, considering my line of knowledge and the kind of books that we use they usually go for more than 200, even some of them are even $200 for. So what I saw, that $3 seemed a bit expensive, but manageable.
Okay. Have you got a budget that you spend on books and things like this? Is that coming from that budget, or have you just taken money from another budget?
I usually don't have a budget for books because most of the books that I need for my studies are in the library. So I had to cut from other budgets.
Okay. What do you remember what you cut it from?
No, I don't remember.
No, okay. Was it a hard decision?
After thorough researching and actually listening to Mike Rhodes explaining the benefits and that I'm going to get from the book, it wasn't that much hard a decision to make, considering I was improving the way I express my thoughts and write my notes.
Okay. Improve. Cool, thanks. Maybe take it back then. At that time,
May I interrupt about, you said that Mike Road explained the benefits that you will get from the book, and that made you feel that it's like a little bit like a no-brainer purchase. Did you remember any of those promises that he said which made you think, okay, this is a good deal, good investment?
By buying the book and actually I'm going to learn techniques and ways to improve my note taking. He promised that I didn't have to be an artist to buy the book and actually learn what it takes to express my thoughts. I just had to have an idea. So an idea alone was enough, plus the simple, it was giving me that you just have to have an idea and you can use simple shapes. You usually talked of 4 shapes: the square, the circle, the triangle, and the dot. Those were actually enough to write anything. With it, he even gave me some examples of how he could draw a person, how he could draw a balloon, how everything using those 4 shapes.
Okay, thank you.
On that, you've mentioned it a few times, so I think it's obviously an important point. He's talked to you almost directly with this. You don't have to be an artist. You just need these 4 shapes. Look, I can draw a person and a balloon.
Yeah.
Why does not being an artist matter so much? What's the importance of that?
Yeah, being an artist, actually, it told me it doesn't matter, because even if you are not an artist, you can still write and express your thoughts properly. So the book was not actually only for an artist; it was for everyone who was willing to.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, when you've seen this, one thing is, do I have the art skills to use it?
Yeah, that was the first question initially, and he told me you don't have to be an artist.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. When you bought this, what were you hoping for?
When I bought the book, I was actually hoping to, first of all, reduce the amount of time that I take on taking notes. I was also hoping that I would, by reducing that amount of time, I would focus on other areas of my life.
Okay, like what?
I was also hoping that by purchasing that book, when I'm attending lectures, I would focus more instead of just jiggling notes every now and then. I will pay more attention to what actually the lecturer is saying, rather than writing a lot of notes every now and then by simply sketching and then later on.
Okay, so this isn't freeing me up time so I can go, socialize with friends, or go play football or something like this. It means I'm freeing up time in my actual lecture to listen more actively to the lecturer versus writing notes. Is that right?
Yeah. It was more of the lecturer, because I was, by just listening and focusing, you can sketch the most important notes, parts that he's saying. And later on, when you get the time, you can actually go back and fill in the remaining.
Okay, cool. So you bought the book. Tell me about using the book. Did you download it and read it cover to cover? Like, how do I visualize you using this 150-page notebook?
So I actually went through the whole book from page to page, but most of the time there is that specific section that deals with the tutorials and gives you tutorials on how you draw these things in a simple and precise manner. So that's what mostly I focused on.
Okay. And can you give me an example of that? Like, if I got my iPad here and a pen and paper here and I'm actually following some tutorial, or is it just, hey, I can use a circle and a square and make a person?
It was actually a fun to follow tutorial. Even in the book, it was showing me how I can combine the different shapes to form a structure.
Okay. How much time did it take to go through this?
I took about I can say it took about a week.
Okay. And like, was this like, how much study a day are you doing?
I was doing probably like less than an hour.
Okay. And so, any reason for that? Any, like, why that amount of time?
The major reason was considering the amount of actually, I wanted to have some rest time. That was what mattered most to me.
Okay. And when are you picking this book up? Like, is this something you pick up first thing in the morning, last thing at night?
No, it was in the middle of the day, after maybe lunch, somewhere there.
Okay. Any reason for that time of day?
There was no specific reason, but I was taking most of the other early in the mornings, maybe resting, and
after the month, like, did this help?
Considering my line of studies and what I'm supposed to go through, I can say it's most of the ideas that came through the book, I used them to apply in my second year.
Okay.
And then, but in the middle of it, I realized it was helping me to actually summarize my notes and then write a better notes, but not so much to the idea of using the 4 shapes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there were other points that actually what he was explaining, the summary part, and that is what actually helped me most.
Okay. So does it matter that you weren't using the 4 shapes? Like, did it do enough of a job to solve the problem, or did you have to go and find another way to work afterwards?
I didn't see the idea of the 4 shapes actually that much helpful, because in our line of medical studies, the shapes are actually more complex than the four shapes that he taught me.
Right. Okay. So the 4 shapes were important before you bought the book, because it showed that you could draw simply anything with 4 shapes. But then when you tried to draw a medical structure with 4 shapes, it doesn't work.
It wasn't much helpful. Yeah, that was when I realized.
Did the book help beyond that? Like, are you using these techniques in your 4th year, or have you abandoned this and gone for another way of note taking?
The summary part actually was very much helpful. How you can summarize your ideas, and then every part, like for example, right now I would go and medical images are actually complex. So I would go and download some medical image, and then what he actually taught me was above and below that image, you actually sketch and write some few notes that are actually later on going to direct you to where you can even get more notes and maybe and even jiggle your memory. So that part was very much helpful.
Okay, so in this case, it's not drawing the image; it's that there is an image that's complex in maybe a medical textbook, and I'm just scribbling on it to remind me of which bit's important. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the parts that was very much helpful.
Okay. And in terms of this book, would you recommend it to others?
In my line of medical studies, actually, I wouldn't. But if someone were maybe doing another course, I would recommend it too, because actually that was very important. Okay,
awesome, thanks. Okay, we've asked a bunch of pretty dumb questions about you and this particular textbook. What have I missed?
Is that
yeah, no, I'm just saying I've asked a bunch of slightly dumb questions. That what have I missed about the story? Have I missed some core part of it?
No, actually, the book is very helpful. It is it gives you ways of summarizing your notes, ways of maybe writing sketch somewhere. You can capture anything that you want. Like that is what motivates you most. But when you come to actually, so like I said, it depends on your line of work and where you want this thing to go. So for my area, which is the medical studies, actually the diagrams were very much complex and doing everything. So that is maybe what I can say. So, but it helps you so much in the power and gives you the power of combining images and words together.
Did it reduce the amount of work you had to put in to studying, or did it not change the amount of work you had to put in the studying?
Yeah, it actually helped me. It changed the amount of time that I would put revising the same concept again.
Okay. And again, I think you mentioned that you felt you were wasting too much time on that. How much time did they give you back?
I can actually say, like, if I take an estimate, if I used to spend 30 minutes revising on a topic, I was actually taking like half of that, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes there.
Okay. And like, what does that mean to you over the course of a day or a month or however long you're spending studying?
It actually helps me. It saves you a lot of time to focus on also other areas. It's not just one unit that you are supposed to revise when the exams are near. It's each and every unit. So it saves you some time to also check other units.
Okay. And I guess, like, in terms of studying, did it improve your grades, or does it just make it quicker and easier to get the same grade?
Actually, there are many factors that you should consider that should be considered before you say that it has improved my grades. Depending also on the unit and the bulk of the work that you are supposed to do in that unit. But then what it makes you is it saves you a lot of time.
Okay. Okay, awesome. That's it from me. Yanis, did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask while we're on the call?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, Khalid, thank you very much for sharing your story, and wish you all the best in your studies.
Thank you very much.
Right. Cheers.
Bye. See you. Cheers.
Right. You learn anything from that one, or I think it's a bit wide of the mark?
Es uziešu uz 5 minūtēm augšā, ja? Just a second.
Yeah, no worries. quick tour of the house.
Yeah. This Friday the school continues, restarts. Exciting times for my work efforts.
Yeah, nice. Good stuff.
I think I learned from anyone actually, because I take notes, and just it's not like maybe I learned from him, but he just prompts me to take something, and this conversation I really felt like the fact that from day one I have placed you don't need to be a designer to do this has been probably a reason for many sales, that I have made. So it's just like reinforcer that's a good thing. Leave it, maybe test some various options of it. And yeah, I made some like it also made me consider about, this Mike Road guy, because he have wrote a book, and book is like a lot more accessible for many people, and it like may sometimes tends to spread. That it's like, of course, if you have the time to write the book, it's not a bad lead magnet in general in your ecosystem. And it's like I think if you have written a book, it's automatic authority kind of signal, that he wrote a book about this stuff, so automatically you assume like he knows some shit about it,
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, obviously in that one there, in the recruit screener, I think just looking at it again, what's he mentioned? So he's given the Sketchnote mini workshop in his other courses. So obviously I've clicked on that link and gone across and thought, okay, he's bought a course, he's bought a book instead. So you may learn more from the people who are buying the courses. In my research, when I first ran this, we interviewed people. So the underlying textbook for the exam that we teach people for, I actually interviewed people who bought that and struggled with it. Partly because I found it interesting to see there are people out there for whom maybe budget's an issue, but they want to go and buy a book to learn this. And it's what are they learning from? Like what's in the book that's not in the course? And of the people who had the book and moved to a course, and I think I mentioned I bought Back of a Napkin earlier on in the year and read it. There was another one, I think, in your own research that's come up and said that they looked at that course. Maybe they used that book. I don't know. And it's wondering, yes, there are some people who just buy the book, but at some point in his life, does he then come out of book buyer and enter into course buyer mode? And then it makes it worth your while and time for writing the book beyond the authority. And I just don't know. I mean, that one there.
Well, I remember, like, sorry for interrupting, but I remember it probably depends a lot on your business model and on the price points. Like, I remember when the Tiago Forte from the Second Brain guy.
Doesn't ring a bell, but
well, whatever. He's like a productivity influencer, and he has this super expensive cohort course, like in like thousands. And it was just a productivity course in general, and that's a lot of money for like, hey, how to organize your life type of thing. But he was very successful, like communicator, and build your second brain, a very catchy kind of theme and a good phrase. And then he wrote a book about it, like called The Second Brain. And he said that like the course sales just like downhill from there.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But he was kind of he was expecting that it was not the goal to kind of keep the course running forever. So I think it depends on your price points and on many different things, and do you have like a community aspect there and stuff. But it's a book probably then is a really good way to capture a lot of people who just don't buy your course. I'm not that interested in it, but whatever, a $30 book, let me just grab it and see what you are about.
And the thing is, what I suggest we do with this one, where he's not bought an online course, is we just put it in quarantine. So I'll drop the notes, I'll put it in another template, and I'll still share this out there because we don't yet know. We might bring him back in and incorporate it, or we might try and sort of Men in Black red light ourselves so we forget all about this because it's completely irrelevant to what you're selling. But we'll keep the information. We've got the recordings. We'll do the same analysis. I'll just park it for now, and then when we come to the sort of we've done a few more interviews. If we think that he belongs in here because others are joining a course because they want to do the same thing, then we can bring them back in. And if not, maybe he was just a bad recruit. And you get that every now and again. So it's none of this is perfect, and the screen is as much as you try and make them test people 10 different ways, always somebody gets through that.
Of course,
may or may not be the right person to interview. So
cool.
Yeah.
Today you had a call with Nikki as well?
Yep. So I've just done that. I've debriefed that, but I don't think the recording would have been done because I don't know, might have gone through Google now, so I can pop the link in there if you want to watch that. That was a really good one. She's a really high energy kind of person. There's lots of insights and things like that in there. And then at the end, she's like, "Oh, my story's pretty unique." It's like, well, I think it is, but I can also see parallels between some of the other people that we've interviewed. Whereas Khalid's story there, where it was about a book and it was university heavy, I don't see as many parallels with the ones we've interviewed already. But you never know. You can see.
Yeah. Let me know when somebody schedules a call with you and when you do the interview, so I know when to pay them or give the gift cards or whatever.
Okay. No, absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I've got a call tomorrow morning, but I don't think it's one of yours. It's somebody who's booked using the same link. So Adam Burke, not related to you.
Adam?
I think it could just be somebody that has connected with me on LinkedIn, and it's like a link I send out, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't recall any Adam.
No, well, somebody who's got my link has put a message in, so I didn't think it was one of yours. I thought I'd check. Aditi is on Friday, and then we've got what have we got? Jackie on Tuesday at lunchtime, and then Alex McAdam Tuesday afternoon, and then there's another one that's picked a time. I think who's this one? Eduardo. He's gone for 22nd of September, so whatever, a week or two's time. So
okay, cool.
So
okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll check then. What's missing then?
2, 3, 4. This one 5. Yeah, so I think that's 5 of yours that would have booked there. We've done 4 here with Khalid. I think if we can get another handful of people, I can go and have a look and see if there's anybody else in the recruit there that has a course that we do want to talk about, and just add another one in there so we've got something. Then we can put in. I think if we've got 5 of yours, I think 6 of yours. I think we were aiming for 12 if we could.
Yeah, I'll get some more. I did send a few emails. I'm not sure. I need to check the forums and stuff. But yeah, I'm on it as well.
That story there that did surprise me is the depth of memory that he had about this particular story from 2 years ago about buying a book. Now, it might just be because I think I read like 70 odd books a year or something like that, and I've probably got way more than that I buy and never get round to reading. So purchasing a book for me is probably not a very meaningful experience that I'm going to remember, even 2 weeks later, let alone 2 years. But maybe we're being too restrictive on the timing of this. Maybe we could go back out to a year or something like that. Certainly the people
I'm going a bit back. Yeah, I think the Alexander who have booked, he is an older buyer, not like super old, but I think he's from last year. Could yeah. So but the rest of them I think are last 6 months. Maybe not Eduardo. I need to check.
Okay. I mean,
I'll add in the Excel which we have, so you have the information.
I think we could potentially take it back. Take it certainly back 3 months more, do 9 months, and if that helps expand it. The other thing is, if you've got people, I think we talked about it when we first ran the scoping call, but somebody maybe that's joined and then left, or people who are less positive about it. Can we interview like 1 or 2 of them, if possible. They're going to be hard to get. They normally aren't going to want to come and share their story for, like, the people who like your course will do it for less money than the people who don't like it. But I'm wondering whether we learn something from that might either tell you, let's not get those people in the future, or tell you, oh, I had this one thing and then I can keep more people.
Well, there's a lot of people who I have sent emails to, which have bought in the last 6 months, and who have not replied me, who have not created a visual, who have maybe like not even engaged in a course or just skimmed few lessons.
Yep.
And nobody have requested refund, but they might be like, I don't care about this, whatever. You know, I've bought plenty of online courses as well where I watch 2 modules and whatever, you know, and I will not go and ask for refund or whatever, you know, it's just not my thing.
But, you know, one of the things that I've seen before in anybody who reports on you know, like massive online open courses or whatever, it's like, well, the rates of completion are dreadful. And I would agree with them that they are, you know, dreadful if the objective of the person joining the course was to watch every minute of course material. But you often find that people join because they want one very specific skill. And once they
that's
have
absolutely true. That's absolutely true.
In the rest of it. And if we can learn what that is for those people, that could be quite valuable. Because it sounds like you've got quite a few of them in your course, and hopefully they're getting value.
I definitely know there are people who are like never been active, but then I somehow get a hold of them and they're like, oh man, I watched this and that was so useful, just whatever, you know, some minor thing, and they are like satisfied. And so you're absolutely spot on. My goal is not for people to sit and like watch me ramble. I want you to get what you want out of it. But
so there you have it. That is somebody who's bought a book. Now, we weren't going to go and interview people who bought books, partly because I think the book purchases are usually relatively low value, or at least low cost. But in this case, you know, $33. I don't know whether it's a lot of money for him, but he clearly looked at the $100 and something full course and thought that was too expensive. What I found really interesting from this interview was that actually normally I try and bracket things in terms of the amount of time that, you know, since somebody's bought it. In this case, 2 years have passed, and he can still somehow remember this struggling moment of being buried under notes at university and not being able to revise as effectively and as efficiently as he wanted to. Okay, hopefully you've enjoyed this interview. Hopefully it's given you a different perspective on how to handle ones where you're a bit worried you've done something wrong. In the next video, you'll see my analysis, the 4 forces of progress for this, where we make the call, should we include this in the research or, you know, bin it. So, cheers.